So hello everyone, my name is Kate Chavez and I am a junior political science major here at Sonoma State University. A little bit of background on myself. I'm the current Executive Vice President of Associated Students and I am the president of an organization here on campus. I think that the number one reason why I want to run for president of AS is what I've learned in the past year as Executive Vice President. I really want to be the person in those committee meetings that Rachel was talking about to voice the student opinion, because I've heard it for the past year, and I think that the relationships I have cultivated with the faculty and staff on campus thus far is really going to help me talk to them for the upcoming year. I've learned a lot, like I said, I've learned a lot over the past year as EVP, and I've come to understand how Sonoma State works and our relationship with the CSU system, and I think that me being able to continue this position and continue fighting for the students' needs, it's really going to be an awesome time doing it the second time around. I want to challenge every single issue here on campus, and I want to look at every process that students have to go through and see, are we making it as easy as possible for the students? I think one of the biggest parts about being Associated Students President, as I've watched Rainer for the past year, is that you're like the external face of Associated Students. And something that I've done over the past 2 years is I've sat on Lobby Corps, which is this group of students that goes to the state capitol, and we talk to our respective senators and congressmen about the current issues in the CSU system as a whole, and in particular to Sonoma State University. And the issues range from deferred maintenance to injustices in this institution to class availability. And I think that that work that I have had done so far will really help me advocate on behalf of the students. For the past year, I've sat on 3 different committees. I've sat on Executive Committee, Academic Senate, and Academic Coordinating Team. And so I've been in the room with the men in the big scary suits, and I really have established this relationship with them, and I think that I've been the one to say, let's hold on this decision. Are we really thinking of the students, and are we really using our full understanding of the student body to make the best decision for them? Something that I want to run on personally is advising, because I've worked on it this past year with, I guess, the entire Senate. We've really taken this on, and I think that it's something that affects every single student, and it's something that we do need to change on this campus, because I've read the policy and we don't follow it. I want the administration to know that students we're worth more than our money, and I think it's time that the administration sees that, and that this is an institution not for profit but for students and for education. I'm a first-generation college student, and I know what it's like to come through college and see the hardships when you don't have the parental support at home. And I have advocated on behalf of these students for the past year, and I would love the chance to do it again. And I think the most important thing is that I'm a student just like you, and we all go through the same processes and the same different picking classes and finding our home at SSU. And I think that if we can work together and we can really have this communication together, that's what's going to help us really maximize what Sonoma State can be. Because I do think that the best solution or the best vision of Sonoma State University is possible, and that's what I want to do in my year as AS president.
Hi everyone, my name is Emily Hinton. I'm a sophomore here at Sonoma State. I'm a philosophy major with a concentration in pre-law and ethics and a minor in criminal justice. So eventually one day I want to go into law school. So student government is kind of right down my alley at this point in my life. It gives me that outlet to provide justice for students here, make sure we're getting fair treatment and getting what we deserve because we're paying to be here. So one of my biggest points that I would advocate for as president would be, like Rachel mentioned, closing that gap between administration and students. What I kind of mean by that is, for example, Lobo Vision. I haven't spoke to one student who knew Lobo Vision was coming unless they were somehow involved in student government. And our fees pay for Lobo Vision, so that's something we should have been aware of. And there's a lot of fees like that that I feel are hidden under the rug by administration and that we're not aware of. So that communication is really important between administration and students. That's going to be one of my biggest priorities as Associated Students President. And that applies in so many different areas too, with our classes, and just the lack of student community here as well, I feel can enhance our student community if we close that gap between administration and students. Also, our four-year graduation rate, like other candidates have touched on, is incredibly low. 19% of our student population graduates in 4 years. That's not even a quarter. That's incredibly low, especially for being one of the smallest CSUs in the system. So that's something that definitely needs to change, especially compared to our acceptance rate when it's at 93%. So we're accepting in all these students, and I feel administration is bringing in all their fees, and they're impacting our freshman dorms, and they're impacting our classrooms, so we can't get the classes we need to graduate in 4 years. And then we're left broke college students wondering why a big screen TV is being installed and why our faculty is underpaid and why we don't have proper technology in our classrooms. So just being an average student and having those questions and not knowing where to go for them or how to get those answers or why we have those questions in the first place is just definitely not okay. So I definitely want to see a change in that atmosphere. I feel administration has been treating our school as a business corporation rather than an institution for academia. So as students president, I would definitely advocate for the students' rights. I would make sure that we're getting what we need, not what administration thinks we need. I feel they've lost sight of what the real priority should be here on campus, which is students in all aspects. So I definitely want to reshift that focus. I think one of the biggest problems here on campus is advertising. And a lot of different departments on campus can see that, ASP, Village Council. It's really hard to outreach to students. So definitely trying to work on that and get the word out of what Associated Students is doing, because student fees are paying for our services. So we really need to make sure that they know what's going on. And I think closing that gap between administration and students is really going to enhance that as well. A lot of students, like someone mentioned, don't even read half the emails sent to us. But if we enhance our student community and students felt comfortable being here, that they were excited to be on this campus, I think they'd pay attention to things like emails and events going on campus and services like Associated Students. I just think that lack of student community really just creates this barrier between students and events going on campus. It's almost created this distaste towards like ASP events and stuff that, well, no one goes to those, so I shouldn't go to those, or that applies to jump events and AS events as well in any aspect. And so I feel if we enhance student community and just take away that stereotype, students would be more willing to understand what resources are provided for us on campus.
So this is an issue that we've dealt with countless times in this past year, and I think it really comes down to the Associated Students being the ones that go out to the students. You know, I'm going to be the one, if I'm elected president, to go talk to each individual club and each individual student. And I think that because I'm a part of a club, I think that I see the school from, this angle of, this is my school and I want to have a say in what goes on here. We have done a lot of creative things the past year. We've done, the 50 and 50 campaign, which was 50 clubs in 50 days and see how many people we can outreach, in 50 days. And I think that creativity is a really good way to reach the students and to show them what we're doing in Associated Students, because what we do is to benefit students. And I really do think that this communication issue we have on the campus needs to be addressed, because that's the only way that if I'm elected president, I'll be able to, tell the president of our university what's happening on the campus and what the students want. I definitely think that us being the leaders on the campus, we need to go out and see the students, because that's no longer are the days when students are going to come to Associated Students and student government meetings. I think that we need to go to their meetings, and if it's reaching out to ASP because their events are amazing, or going out to JUMP because of how many students that they offer amazing opportunities to, we need to show the students that AS is there for them, and that there's countless opportunities for them to get scholarships or to use a tutorial center or what have you. I think that it's our job to go out and outreach and reach every single student on this campus, and we've done a great job doing it, and I think that that's something that we really need to continue doing forever to get out the word.
I definitely agree with basically everything Kate said. There's a huge lack of communication between students and these programs on campus, and just really outreaching to those students. I want to be very personal president. I want to be the student who's working out next to you in the gym and you can just tell me your complaints that you had about the day, that the elliptical is broken or something, and you want to fix it, but you don't know where to go for that resource or who to tell. Because that's kind of how I got involved in AS. First semester of this year, I broke my ankle, and the cement on campus is horrible, and I couldn't get around campus. And I just needed that outlet to complain about it, and that's how I found AS. And so students have those complaints, and they just don't know where to take them. So just talking to students around campus and hearing those complaints and letting them know that AS is here for that resource, I think is really important.
I really think that this goes back to me being involved in Lobby Corps, because it's something that I've done for the past 2 years here at Sonoma State University. I've talked to students countless times and seen what the issues are here at Sonoma State and what's individual or unique to Sonoma State University as opposed to the other CSU campuses. And I've taken it to the state level. And then, I sit as the backup liaison to CSSA, the California State Student Association, with Brandon. And I've been at those meetings, and it's awesome to see the leaders from every single campus coming together, and it's amazing to hear how unique our campuses are compared to each other. And I think that really relaying Sonoma State's unique individuality at the CSSA level is how you get it across, because they're students just like us. All the presidents, they go to this meeting, and we talk about Sonoma State University versus Chico versus Stanislaus, and I think that me being at those meetings already, I know these students, we all want the same thing in mind, and that's to advance the California State University system. I think that if we all have the same vision together, working the three values of the CSU system, affordability, quality, and accessibility, we all have those three things together, we're all going to be able to succeed in what we want to help our individual campuses. But yeah, being the external face of the organization is a huge part of being president of AS, and I think that when we make certain decisions about legislation, we need to make sure it follows the CEO portion that the president is, and then also the student government portion. So definitely making sure when you go to CSSA meetings, you execute what you talk about on this individual campus.
I think because we are one of the smallest CSUs, it gives you that opportunity as student president to really connect with the students here, and just really be able to just get out there and talk to all the students and figure out what the concerns are, and then easily transfer them to resources like CSSA. It just gives us that easier opportunity to get our concerns and our needs expressed. I don't know too much more about CSSA because I haven't directly been involved with it, or I haven't served as a member of the AS Senate yet. Hopefully that'll change. But I have served in other aspects of the school as a leader, and I just believe that I am really passionate about student concerns and that I can express them and transfer them to CSSA or administration or wherever need be very accurately, and I feel that I can really represent the students.
I think to tie it all in, it really does go back to that passion that I think we both have, and I think that it really is about helping the students here at Sonoma State University. That is what the AS stands for and what student government stands for, and I think that if you can make every decision as president keeping the students in mind at all times, it's a good way to do the job correctly.
I think that's one of the things that I really enjoyed about this position. Brandon was nice enough to kind of mentor me last semester and just give me an idea of the position itself. And I really enjoyed that he doesn't have the final say at Senate meetings, and he doesn't kind of reside over them or make these executive decisions, that the Senate makes the decisions together as a joint unit, advocating for all of the students. So, and then a final decision is made that they're all agreed upon, and then Brandon's just a face for that decision. And I think that's what I appreciate most about the position. As for balancing my own schedule and the position of AS president, I've been balancing my schedule since I was 15. Last semester, or freshman year, I worked 3 jobs on top of handling a 17-unit schedule. So I'm very good at multitasking and prioritizing and just making sure to balance my schedule well. So So I don't see that as a problem.
Yeah, I really like that word empowering because I think that it's something that the Senate does. Like we bounce off of each other, and I think it's like a really great thing to watch in our Senate meetings. We really do use each other and lift each other up. So I think that it is a huge job of the president to encourage the senators and the other execs to pull their weight and everyone to do an equal amount of work. I think what's really awesome is that at the certain exec retreats prior to the school year starting and the Senate retreats, we do go over every single issue that we think is on this campus. And I think that if the Senate can come up with an agenda that we all agree on, we'll really be able to execute what the agenda is because having all of us, all 15 of us on the same page really does help. And I've seen that this past year. I think that as long as we all encourage each other and empower each other and go out and empower the students to do their own work as well, because the Senate needs help from the students, and it's our job to help the students. So I think that if we have a cohesive idea about what Sonoma State is supposed to be and it's based off what the students want, we really are going to be able to work together as a team. And it's our job as leaders for each other to help each other really stand up and be who all that we can be in these positions.
Just going off of what Kate said, I was in the Future Officer program last semester, so I got to work with AS, and the events that we went to that were just like fun events, or we went to a jump event where we all worked at this garden. AS just worked so well together, and it could be because of the retreat that they go on prior to the school year, but they all just weren't just student body working together, but also friends, and they really encouraged each other. Because the jump event we went to was pretty difficult. We had to pull a lot of weeds and do some hard work, and everyone encouraged each other, and it was really awesome to see, and they just worked really well together. So I really enjoy that aspect of AS and would enjoy being a part of it.
I think that over summer that's a good time to kind of look at the university as a whole because students are not here, and it's a time for you to really learn all you can about Sonoma State University. And I really think being able to talk to Judy in that summertime and then establishing a relationship with her will help me, use that to my advantage when school begins. And then I guess, I wanted to start my legacy as president in summer just because it's a good time to kind of reflect on Sonoma State University and see the different issues that are unique to our campus.
Judy Sakaki, our new president, is a wonderful woman, and she's so willing to work with the students. We just need that person to really interact with her and advocate the student needs right from the start as soon as we can, so she knows that student needs need to be a priority and that they haven't been on this campus for a while. And I think that she's very willing to work with associated students, and having that opportunity is going to be a great chance. We just need the right person to do it and really get those needs out there. During the summer, I would love to kind of get an understanding of all the policies and such on campus, because that's going to be a huge part in being an associated student, because I do have these concerns as the average student, and I listen to the average student concerns, but going about them can be a long process, like some other candidates have mentioned. And so just getting a good grasp on the process of things, so I have that understanding, so hopefully it doesn't have to be too long of a process. And that also goes back to laying out the foundation of where our fees are going and understanding that. I serve as a representative for the Fee Advisory Committee right now, and the president chairs that committee, so that's just really important aspect to understand, because one of the largest concerns on campus is where are fees going and how much are we spending. But there's also a lot of different policies and stuff of what fees are spent where, and so just understanding that so I can transfer that to the students and let them know that so much money was spent on Level Vision, but just giving them the understanding that it could only be spent for the rec center and the student center, because those misunderstandings are present in students at the moment.
I kind of want to just complete this whole Fee Advisory Committee and Student Affairs side. So like Emily said, the president is the chair of the Advisory Committee. And someone that's on that committee is the Vice President of Student Affairs, Matthew Lopez Phillips, here on this campus, who I have a great relationship with through the club and organization that I'm a part of on campus. And I think that we're so lucky that we have Judy coming to campus, because she is the past Vice President of Student Affairs for the entire UC system. And I think that this is an amazing time for us to come together as students and really voice the student opinion and have a chance to have student affairs be put first. So I think really using her to our advantage is going to be, it's a really cool opportunity that this next Senate is going to have, because it hasn't been done before. And I'm excited to see how that turns out.
So I just recently got involved with AS. As I mentioned, I graduated from the FOP program last semester, the Future Officer program, so that really laid my foundation of how to be a leader here on campus. I'm also the president of Hillside Village Council, which is upperclassmen dorms, so Beaujolais and Tuscany, and that's not too much of a leadership position as AS is. We kind of just put on events for the residential community, but through that Village Council as a whole has been able to put on some great events this semester, and we've had one of the largest turnouts because student community is something our school lacks, and we've had events where at least 400 students have showed up. So that's a big change on our campus that we've really been proud of. Kind of forgot the end of your question. I also serve as a student leader on the Fee Advisory Committee, one of the representatives, and the Student Center Board of Advisory Committee and the Academic Freedom Subcommittee. So those are just the few leadership positions I do have on campus currently. So yeah.
So I think over the past, actually, can you repeat the question for me? Sorry.
Yeah, it goes backwards. My question is, through your leadership positions, what changes have you made or are in the process of making, and how has your presence as a student leader been consistent and reliable?
So I like to think of myself as a very trustworthy person, and I think that that really comes across in the outreach that I've done to students in the past year. I've really taken it upon myself, as the whole Senate has, to really go out and meet the students and hear what they have to say, and then take that back to the student government and then act on it. I think that's how you see, the different actions that we've done. It's because it's what we hear from students. I think that the different conversations leading from the Dream Center to the housing competition we're having on campus, to make housing more affordable. I think that that's how I've shown that I am for the students, because I do think the price of college is too high, and if we can look at every single aspect of Sonoma State and see where we can cut back, that would be amazing. So definitely the outreach, I think that's something that I've really come to enjoy as Executive Vice President of Associated Students. Going out to clubs and classrooms and talking to them, it means a lot to me to hear from students directly. And then to even have students come to me, that's amazing when I get an email from them.
I think the ways that my leadership positions have stayed consistent, and this sounds pretty general, but I just always advocate for the student needs, no matter what they are. And I know that should be in our job description. That's what we should all be doing as student leaders. But I just really work to do that in all aspects. With the Fee Advisory Committee, as an average student, I didn't know where my fees were going at first, and then I've had some insight now being able to sit on that committee, and just really making sure that the fees being dispersed on campus are in the best interest of the students. And so just staying consistent in that aspect, making sure students are served as the first priority on the school campus. So I'd say that's how I've been consistent.
We do have, the execs have a lot of, power and pull on this campus, and I think that if you remember the 3 values of the CSU system, affordability, accessibility, and quality, in every decision that you make, you are going to make good decisions. And as long as you remember that this job is for the students, and it's my job to make sure that every single student voice is heard, and that's always my mind, that's how I'm going to make sure that I am doing this for the right reasons, because that's important. And I want everyone to feel like I am the person that they can go to, because that's what I've tried to be for the past year, and that's what I've watched Brandon do for this past year. And I think it's amazing. Us working together it's awesome. And I think that the students coming together with student government, that's ideal, and that's what should happen. And that's how we're going to get the most done here. Because like I said before, this is an institution not for profit, but for students and for our education and our outside of the classroom experiences. And I think that really keeping in mind the values of Sonoma State and AS, and then my values as a human being, I think that's how I'm going to make sure that I'm doing this for the right reason, and making sure that I'm always advocating for students and will always advocate for students.
I guess I would say that leaving a personal legacy at least isn't a priority of mine. What I would like students to remember from the 2016-2017 year is that actual change was made, and that they saw that change being made, and that they felt a sense of community, and that they got the classes they needed, and that they knew where their fees were going. Those are the things that I want to see happen in this next school year. Not that I want students to remember in 2018 that Emily was a great president last year. I want it to be remembered that things happened last year and things changed, and I enjoy going to this school now. So that's my number one priority. I guess that could be seen as a legacy as well, that a legacy was made 2016-2017, but in the school, not necessarily that myself made it. But I think what most resonated with me from that question just now was that students have misguided information from both faculty and administration, but there are some facts that aren't misguided information, that like 60% of faculty here are part-time lecturers, and not a lot of faculty are tenure, and that 20% of the school budget goes towards instruction. So that's a very small portion when instruction on campus is one of the most important aspects here. And so I think the faculty strike is an appropriate response to faculty being underpaid, because most of them have to work part-time jobs in addition to their position here, and I don't think that they're being fully provided for, and they're the most essential aspect of this school because they are the ones providing our education. And whether there is a lack of information or just misguided information from administration and faculty, I think it's good to listen to both sides of the position and just really be open-minded about it, and just really be aware and pay attention to what's going on.
So I actually disagree with Emily on this question. So I totally support the faculty in their efforts to get the 5% raise that they want. And I do think that most of them, or all of the faculty, work very hard at their job. But I think that students are the essential part of this campus, and I want to make sure that the 5% raise that they're going to get does not affect students, because that's what we've seen in the past. Our tuition and fees have gone up to pay for faculty, and my number one thing is that, I support them getting this 5% raise as long as it doesn't affect students, because we all know that we already pay high enough fees, and if I'm elected as president, I want to make sure that they stay the same or go lower if we have the chance to do so. And I think that all of us, we've had our professors speak to us about the faculty raise, and the faculty strike, and I've had all of mine speak to me about it, and I support their efforts completely as long as it doesn't affect the students here at Sonoma State University.
When I said that students, or when I said administration and faculty are number one priority on campus, I meant directly to that question. Students are my number one priority, and my understanding was that the 5% raise would be across the CSU board, and that it can't affect tuition. And that could be a misunderstanding that I have relayed from information I've received just being on campus. But I didn't think that that was even a possibility, and if it was, it's not something I would support, because student fees are definitely one of my number one concerns, and I don't want to see any more raises in tuition or student fees. So that's not something I would support. However, I do believe our faculty does need to be provided for, because they are an essential aspect of this campus. Okay, I guess just to kind of wrap up on my main platform is going to stand on student fees and just seeing that transparency and communication from administration, and that goes for Globovision and just all these fees that we don't know about. And the Green Music Center, are student fees going there? How come it's not more involved in our school? Why is it such a priority to advertise to outside resources for the Green Music Center? And just the art on our campus, how come that's not student art? How come it's outside art? And why are we paying for that as students? And why don't we have a say in that? Why aren't we voting on these things? And that kind of goes back to the lack of student community that we have here on campus as well. And I think that stems from the gap between administration and students. And so I just see there being so much potential for change this year, especially because Judy Sakaki is coming in, and that's going to give us a great opportunity that most student presidents haven't had. So I just think that it's essential to elect the president that you find most fit to advocate for the student needs. And whether you vote for me or Kate, I think Kate is a lovely woman, and either one of us would be a great representative for the students. I just really encourage you to vote because not a lot of students do vote. And I think that this is a great opportunity to also share your concerns with me and Kate because both of us have potential to be great candidates and great AS presidents next year. So yeah.
So I'm just going to start off with thanking you all for coming because it really does mean a lot to a person who's in AS to have people come because like we've said multiple times today that community is a huge issue on this campus and we all want to increase it. I think just going forward, I really want to stress to vote as well as Emily said. And really it's probably one of the ways that you can make an impact on this campus. And if I'm elected Associate Students President, that's the #1 thing that I'm going to work on next year is making sure that what you want as students really does happen on this campus. I'm a student just like you, and we all experience Sonoma State University in different ways, and all those ways should be heard by the administration. I think that being the middleman between the administration and associated students and then the students is something that's crucial to the president of AS, and that's something that I really would like to work on this next year if I'm elected president. I think continuously using the values that the CSU stands on and Sonoma State stands on and AS stands on if I'm elected president, and every decision that I make, that's how I'm going to know that the students' voices were heard and that their input was used in the decisions made in the academic senate or the executive committee or what have you. But yeah, definitely getting out to vote and using your voice. That's probably the #1 thing that I've learned this past year as executive vice president is that we do matter and we should have a bigger say than what we do. And AS is a great way to use as an outlet to get out your voice.